Good morning. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that applies to property, for permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and for consent to sever property to create new lots. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All virtual participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelists when your item is being held. During this time, your cameras will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Those participating through WebEx are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. The host will remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of our decision must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure you include your name, address, and email address, because the committee and the Toronto Local Appeal Body will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies, as those terms are defined in the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the committee. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. Hearing procedure. Today I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. When making your submissions where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we first call on speakers in the hearing room and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any minutes from the last meeting to confirm?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and panel members. No minutes for today
Thank you.
for adoption.
Are there any declarations of interest of panel or staff for the morning time slot? Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, have you received any requests for deferral?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are 5 requests for deferral for this morning, so I'll just state each one of those. Item number 7, 316 Bloor Street West, file number A0597/23TY. Item 12, 456 Gerrard Street East, file number A0612/23TEY. Item number 14, 89 Cottingham Street, file number A0623/23TEY. Item number 15, 240 Glenholme Avenue, file number A0626/23TEY. Sorry, and through you, Mr. Chair, the 5th item is after our 2 o'clock session.
Yes.
So we'll deal with that at that time. And there are no files to be closed this morning.
Thank you. Let us proceed to the first item, 276 Wallace Avenue. The purpose of the application is to alter the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear second-story rear addition that will be partially cantilevered above the existing rear deck. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, a report from Urban Forestry. Alex Perez.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can we have your name and your address, please?
My name is Alejandro Perez, and my address is 180 Ellis Avenue.
I'm sorry, but you seem to be garbled. We can't hear you very well. Could you please repeat that?
Okay. Yes, give me 1 second. Let me just try to go to the normal phone.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
No, I still very garbled.
Can you hear me now?
That's
Hello?
better.
That's better?
Okay. Okay, now yeah. Okay, this seems to be fairly straightforward. Do you have anything you want to say to the panel before we take it into committee? Mr. Perez? Mr. Perez, are you still there?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think we've lost him. I'm going to give him another call.
Okay.
The question, the rear yard deck.
Yeah. Same thing.
Alex Perez, you've been unmuted.
Yes, that's me. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay, I asked, I said that this seems pretty straightforward, and we're going to take it into committee. Did you have anything you wanted to say to the panel before we go into committee?
Yeah, it's only that it's what is happening now, I think, across the city. It's a young family with one kid. The family is growing. They have some work from home now because after the pandemic. And they have been looking into having more space. The area is very tight. Like, I mean, the neighborhood, the lots are small and the houses are tight. So I think it makes sense. There is a lot of houses with similar GFA in the area. And the rear deck is existing. We added to the application because the plan examiner mentioned in the zoning review, but it's existing. Yeah, that will be all.
Okay. So, do you have any questions?
Sure, I think
Larry?
we all had the same question,
Yes.
and maybe I'll start it off. The 0% rear landscaping clearly gets everyone's attention. Looking at your site plan, it looks like it's a very small lot, and the rear yard looks pretty much exclusively the deck, which I think I heard you say that it was an existing deck. Does that deck
Yes.
let water through? Like, do the boards have gaps in them?
Yes. It's I believe it's cedar. Yeah, and it has a gap, probably like 1/8 of an inch.
And
it is existing. It was existing when they purchased the house.
yeah. And is the material, is it dirt underneath? Is it something that will absorb water?
Yes, I think it's dirt, and I think it has a layer of cloth, like a filtering cloth.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. I'm sorry, could you just repeat that, please?
I think they put like a layer of landscape fabric, but I don't know, underneath probably it's gravel, but it's open. Underneath it's open.
Okay, so I'm not sure we understood, but can you confirm that it's not hardscape underneath the deck?
Yes, it is open. It's not hardscape.
Okay, it's softscape under
It
the
lets
deck.
water
Okay.
too. Yes, it lets water too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have a related question.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, on the survey shows that the north side of the deck, there are existing trees. Are these trees penetrating the deck, and you're not planning to remove any of them, right?
No, we are not planning to touch the trees.
Okay, that's one
It's
question.
a second story addition, so it's going to be all done from the above.
Okay. For the stair, you know, before you go up to the stair, that area is all concrete, or what kind of material is the area where the stair is and the walkway linking to the walkway? No, the same drawing, the site plan. Yes.
So the basement
Yeah,
walkout
Yeah.
is concrete block.
What kind of material is
and
that?
the basement stairs.
It's
The walkout is concrete block.
it's all
and
concrete.
The stairs are made of concrete, but everything else is cedar.
Is cedar? What?
deck,
the deck.
Everything else,
Oh, the
yes.
deck is cedar. Okay. Oh, it's all concrete. It's a concrete stair. Okay. Thank you.
Only the walkout, yes.
Yeah. Oh, you can see it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any comments, or do we have a motion? Yes, Larry?
Yeah, Chair, thanks. Normally, we wouldn't really feel comfortable with a 0% rear yard landscaping, but, looking at the configuration of the lot, it's a very small lot. It's not very deep at all. It looks like the deck extends from the house all the way back to the rear lot line. And the fact that it is wooden, it allows water to go through, and there is no hardscape underneath it, I think mitigates that landscaping variance a little bit. But given the configuration of the lot and what's proposed, it doesn't seem unreasonable. It doesn't seem out of character with this neighborhood. I think, given those circumstances, it is supportable. I'll move approval subject to forestry condition number 2.
Jim, you second that motion? All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. Number 2, 6 Underwood Avenue. The purpose of this application to alter the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a front addition, a rear second-story addition with a deck, and a rear ground level porch. With this material, we have material, with this application, we have material supplied by the applicant. We have email correspondence from Toronto and Region Conservation Authority and Ravina Natural Feature Protection. Yes, Sandro Lamota, Anthony Del Grosso.
Speaking, yes. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Good morning. Can we have your name and your address, please?
Yes, my name is Anthony Del Grosso, 406 Horsham Avenue.
Okay. So, we're going to take this into committee. Do you have any comments you want to make to the panel before we go into committee?
Well, I just wanted to explain why some of the variances came up, if that's all right.
Yes?
The first one is, based on the original design of the house. The front entrance, when these houses were built, only had like a 3-foot landing or foyer at the entrance. And the owners are looking to add a smaller area of just 1 story with a little closet. Again, families growing, teenage kids, and they just need that little bit of space at the front. And that's the number 1 variance. The other 3 variances are basically at the rear with the deck. It is an existing deck that they'd like to replace. And based on the condition of the lot, the drainage is front to back, so it is a walkout condition. Therefore, the platform is at the main floor level, and it is a walkout. And the side yard conditions or variances, are we're lining up the west side with the existing wall. It is a semi-lot, so we are away from the property line on that side, 0.32. And the, I guess the north side, east side is more of the landing and stairs to get to the deck or below from the driveway, because it does drop sharply there. And that's basically it for the variances.
Thank you. Any questions, Larry?
No, I
Jim?
don't. No, I don't have a question.
No, I just wanted to ask about the deck. So it looks like from your drawings, you have a railing, but would you be okay with us? It looks like there's overlook because of the, as you point out, the grade slope in the rear. You're up a little bit higher, particularly the guys to the left. Are you okay with us putting a condition for privacy screening on the sides?
I think that would be fair. We would agree to that, yes.
Okay, good.
The east and the west.
East and west, yes. Do you want to make a motion?
Sure, I am ready to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I think these variances are quite reasonable, and I do not think that they will create too much a negative impact So with the condition that put privacy screen 1.5 meter both east and west side on the rear deck, I will move for approval. And there any other conditions? Yeah.
I think,
Urban forestry.
Is it? There's no
There's-
urban forestry, no. This they don't require TRCA. I think that's it. There's no other condition.
I have a note of condition from
So do I.
Ravine and Natural Feature Protection.
They have no objection. They have a letter. They have a report saying no objection.
There is subject to the following conditions
Yeah, there is
in
a
their
condition.
report.
Okay. So it's a within condition.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I will include that. That's
okay. Seconder? Aaron? All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you, sir. I just want to.
Thank you, committee. Have a great day.
Thank you. I just want to go back to number 1. Did we include a forestry
Two.
number 2 condition?
yes.
We did? Okay. Number 3. 52 Manor Road West. The purpose of this application is to construct a new one-story ancillary building, a carport in the rear yard abutting Duplex Avenue. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant and a report from Urban Forestry. Ken DeMacAracos.
Ken, you've been unmuted.
Yes, good morning, members of the panel, Mr. Chair. My name is Ken DeMacAracos. The address is 30 Shadywood Road.
Okay, this is very straightforward. Do you have anything you want to say before we go into committee?
I don't think so. I think it's relatively minor. I think it meets all the, all the criteria
Okay.
for an approval. I think it's desirable. So I'll let you guys, comment, and if I'll make any comments if necessary.
All right, thank you. So panel, do you have any questions? Yim?
No, but there's a forestry condition number 1 and 2. You are aware of that, right? So,
Yes, I saw that.
okay, so with that, I would like to move for approval. This is a very straightforward application.
All right, do we have a seconder? Larry, all in favor? You have your approval, thank you.
Thank you.
Number 4. (560) McRoberts Avenue. The purpose of the application is to alter the existing one-story detached dwelling by constructing a second-story addition, a front covered porch, a two-story south side addition, and a rear two-story addition with a second-story balcony, a rear ground floor covered deck with exterior stairs, and a basement walkout. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. Marco Vera.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Marco Vieira. I'm the agent and the designer for this application.
And your address, please?
My address is 257 Dunraven Drive.
Thank you. Do you have anything you want to say to the panel before we go into committee?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think the application is pretty straightforward. It's very minor. It deals with existing side yard setbacks where we're trying to line up the addition with the existing. I believe that there's no impact to the adjacent properties, and I ask the committee to approve the application based on the materials we provided.
Thank you. Any questions, panel? Any comments? Do we have a motion?
Chair, just the issue, I'm just looking at the elevations. I believe that there's a rear balcony on the second story, which projects out, so I think it'd be appropriate to have privacy screening on both sides of that balcony. Again, the lot fabric here is very tight, and there's potential for overlook.
Okay,
So I'll just move a motion on this one. I think it is very straightforward. There's only minor setback variances. So I'll move approval of this application, subject to the condition that there be privacy screening on the north and south side of the rear second-story balcony.
all right, we have a seconder. Aaron? All right, all in favor? Have your approval. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Have a good day.
Item number 5.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we're still waiting on the applicant for item number 5.
Okay, so we move on to number 6.
Oh, 6. He's here.
Six Cavell Avenue, purpose of the application to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear second-story addition and a complete third-story addition with front. Pardon me, this is number 5. You say we're waiting for the applicant? Oh, you are the applicant? Number 5? Yes. Okay, please sit down. And a complete third-story addition with front and rear rooftop decks. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. We have a planning report and correspondence and concern from 3 Church Street. Mr. Dowman?
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Gary Delman, 28 Cawthra Avenue, Toronto,
Thank you.
and I represent the owner of 6 Cavell Avenue.
All right. So is there anything you want to say to the panel before we take it into committee?
Yes, I'd like to point out that this is a very small house existing. It's only approximately 100 square metres, and that all the proposed additions are within the existing footprint. It's quite a small lot, and it has an existing 2-car rear garage. For variance number 1, exceeding the height, we're only exceeding the height by 1.5 inches, which is less than some of the houses that are already on the street. The side yard setback that is less than allowable is existing, and it actually is to the rear property lines of properties that are backing onto it from another street. We looked, I know that the planning want to increase the soft landscaping, and we looked at that, but because of the 2-car garage and the small lot, the most we could get to increase was only 8 square metres, which brings the landscaping up to 14% from 6%. And since they weren't doing any exterior work, the owners were questioning whether this was really worth doing. It's a very small increase, and the existing yard's been there already for over 50 years. The eave encroachment is only for the very short little piece of eave that is attached to the building. It's actually perpendicular to the lot line, and or the second floor addition when we put the third floor on, we have, the third floor is partly over the second floor addition, which only by 5 meters, 5 feet, sorry, which is not a lot, and we felt that that was to reduce that would be to make the third floor very small.
Thank you, sir. I just want to deal with variance number 3 with soft landscaping.
Yes?
The application reads 5%, 6.43 square meters will be maintained as soft landscaping. You said something about 14%?
We could get it up to 14%. The
How
problem
many
with
square
the-
meters would that be?
Pardon?
How many square meters?
That would be an addition of 8 square meters.
Yes.
9 square meters? That's a lot.
Okay.
You said 9 square meter in addition to
No, the existing is approximately 6.
Yeah.
We were going to add 8, which would give us a total of 14 square meters. That's the most we could add because the garage needs driveway.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I just want to know the number. Yes.
So that, what would the percentage be if it's 14 square meters?
Pardon?
What would the percentage of soft landscaping be if you have 14 square meters?
What is the... I'm sorry, I don't hear.
Okay. The variance reads in the notice, 5%, 6.43 square meters of the rear yard will be maintained as soft landscaping. You're telling us now that you can get it up to 14 square meters. What percentage is that of the rear yard?
What's the... I'm sorry.
Can I help him? So he's asking if we add the extra square meters of soft landscape, what will the total percentage of soft landscape in the backyard be?
The total percentage will be 14%.
So the same as the square meters?
No, it cannot be.
Sorry, the total percentage will be 8%. Sorry.
Okay.
It's 5% now. We're going to add... We're adding 6, adding 8. No, it takes it up to, yes, it becomes 12 to 14%.
What?
40
Okay. So I want to be sure. Are you saying 12% or 14%?
12%,
12%, and that's 14 square meters.
14 square meters, yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Larry?
I'm looking at the photo that you submitted as part of your application, and it's a photo of your rear yard. And just looking at the condition of the existing hardscape, the concrete, it looks like it's in a state of disrepair. So I guess one of the things this committee often does is try to improve as best we can, you know, the amount of water that can permeate into the ground. Are you planning to resurface that or do any work to that in the back? Because one option we could do is make those permeable pavers in the rear. And permeable pavers allows the water to percolate through. Because I do notice you have a storm drain back there, which probably discharges into the city's storm drain system. And I guess we'd ask whether there's an opportunity to do better, not necessarily by increasing your variance beyond what you're proposing today, but whether you might be able to resurface that rear hardscape into something that allows water to percolate. So that would mean ripping the concrete out and putting permeable pavers in. Is that something your client would be willing to do? Are you the client?
Client right here.
Okay.
Excuse me, permeable pavers, are we talking interlock stone?
It's interlock, but it's a variation of interlock where there's gaps in between and you put HPB in it. And HPB allows the water to go through rather than sand, which doesn't allow the water to go through. So it's a fairly simple treatment, but it allows some water to make its way through.
How much of the yard do we have to do?
Well, again, that we would be in your hands in terms of if you're going to be replacing it all, and it looks like it needs replacing, frankly.
It honestly wasn't in the immediate plans.
I understand that, but you've come to us seeking approval of a variance which is fairly significant.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can go with some permeable surfaces on the ground.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, that's a better result, I think. I will be happy with that one.
Okay, any further questions or comments?
So are we going to
have a motion.
also increase the soft landscaping to 12%? That
Yes,
we revised?
12% and 14 square meters.
Yes. In my opinion, I think that that's a good solution since that it is in disrepair, and then they will somehow one day will replace it anyway. So with the amendment to variance number 3 to 12%, and also the
14 square meters.
14 square meter, 12, yeah. And also the conditions that will replace the existing concrete in the rear yard with permeable material. Yeah.
There was also, staff report had a condition rescreening.
Oh, yes, there's east and west edges of the third floor deck. Privacy screening on.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that motion? Larry, all in favor? Have your approval. Thank you, sir. Number 6, 139 Roxborough Street East. Purpose of the application to alter the existing 2 1/2 story detached dwelling by constructing a rear second-story addition over the existing one-story addition, as well as a 2-story partial side addition with basement. Also to construct a new ground floor rear deck with stairs, a rear second-floor balcony, and a rear basement walkout. The existing ancillary building, a garage, in the rear yard will be maintained and unaltered. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, correspondence from Heritage, support from 137 and 151 Roxborough, and opposition from 141 Roxborough Street. Mr. Shakiri.
Ali Shakiri, 326 Shepherd Avenue East. Good morning.
Okay, we have some oppositions. We need a presentation from you.
Indeed, as you can see, we are asking for 3 minor variances, and this is only a very moderate rear extension, not extension actually, a building on the second floor of the existing building. The size of the building, as it appears on the survey and the site plan of the City of Toronto, is smaller than the neighboring houses. The length and depth variances are existing non-compliant, so we are not adding to the existing length or depth of the building. It's basically the second floor addition on top of the existing one-story rear extension. So the variances number 2 and 3 are pre-existing, except that when we are adding the room above that rear one-story extension, the new variance actually kicks in. As you can see on the plans, the height of that extension is not nearly as much as the provision of the bylaw. And as you mentioned, we have support from two neighbors. I've reviewed the letter of objection from the neighbor, number 137, which is substantially larger than this house. I can see the comments non-related to the variances and without planning merits, so I'm not going to answer those unless, of course, if you have any question. And once again, this house is already exceeding, as the existing house exceeds the floor space index, and we're just adding one room. And that's, I consider minor. I wish you feel the same way, and I have no further comments. If there is any question, I'd be more than glad to answer. Thank you.
So, Mr. Shakiri, I have a note that from the picture that you've submitted, pardon me. I had a note here that the garage seems to be in disrepair, and I didn't understand why you're maintaining it. But, so, I don't know whether that's the case, because I just saw a picture of a brick garage.
The picture is in the opposition's letter. It's on the 141 letter. Yeah, no, you go to the opposition letter. That's the second page. Yes, there, the top. Yeah, picture.
Yes, the owner wishes to maintain the garage and repair it.
Okay.
And
that's fine.
So it's going to be repaired.
I didn't realize it was made of brick. Okay, let's go to the south gates, Rex, Rebecca, and Barnaby.
Hello, Barnaby, are you there?
Yes, we can hear you. Can we have your name?
Can you hear my brother?
Pardon?
Barnaby Southgate is the person. Barnaby Southgate is the person who needs to be unmuted, sir.
Okay.
Hi, Barnaby, you've been unmuted.
Great, thank you. Do I need to be on camera or not?
No, you don't need to be on camera, but we need your address and your name.
My name is Barnaby Southgate. My address, I am one of the owners of 141 Roxborough Street, although I'm not a resident there.
Okay. Let us have your address in case we need to send you some correspondence.
Number one, Rosedale Road. Number 104, M4W 2P1.
All right, thank you. Can we have your comments, please?
Absolutely, you can. Mr. Shakiri mentioned that many of the things in our letter were not relevant to the committee, and I suspect that specifically they're not, but they certainly are relevant to our life and our quality of life. But let's talk first about the variances. Again, my math is not great, but these are not small variances. Looking at the application, we're going to be increasing a structure 20%, making it larger on an already narrow lot, and 5 meters longer, which will extend past the current house length on both sides. Big concern for us is the construction has and will continue to compromise our quality of life. I'll get to that in a minute. But specifically, the variance about the second floor balcony will directly overlook our garden. Therefore, it will compromise our enjoyment of that garden. That's the proposed balcony. The big issue, and I'm sure the committee hears this all the time, is we share a driveway with a mutual right of way. The variances the plans, I should say, indicate a multi-family dwelling unit. And the rear addition, which extends proposed to the rear, to the driveway edge, it looks like it will take away a traditional 60-plus year 2 off-driveway parking spaces. So we're very interested in what the applicant proposes to do about parking. As you can see, the garage, while brick, is a derelict structure, and it has been unused as a garage for 60 years. It was held up with a chain around a tree, which the applicants removed. It is literally, the south wall is over a 20-foot drop that cannot be repaired. The building will have to come down, so that is not going to be maintained. It can't be maintained. And if it is intended to be used as a garage, very interested in knowing what the applicant proposes in terms of turning out of it, because right now the turning radius, I suspect you'd have to drive into our garden. Another point is that the current driveway was paved at our expense several years ago, and it's now been both dug up, denying us access, and we are interested to know whether Ms. Chan will be repaving the driveway to its condition before the excavation and heavy machinery. I'd further point out that the construction, this does not bode well for a future relationship, because the construction has proceeded without talking to us. Originally, all the demolition, no fencing to remediate construction dust, no permits have been displayed. Permits don't seem to be displayed. And again, we've been deprived of access to our mutual driveway all day. My father is 88, hasn't been able to leave the house because traditionally he exercised up and down the driveway. That's been going on for 2 months. This will continue to diminish his quality of life in the foreseeable future. As you can see in the pictures we show of the addition, it was an addition, a shed addition, wood framing with no basement. The construction has already started, as you can see, so that before the variances have been agreed to by this committee, as well as you can see, they've clearly dug up the driveway, so we can't use it. All of this suggests that, especially the driveway, we need to hear about solutions, and we also have parked at the bottom of it traditionally for the last 50-odd years. We want that to continue because that's the right way. So those are the things that I have to say on this subject. Again, I'm interested to hear what Ms. Chan, the applicant, has to say, and indeed, I'd love to hear what the committee has to say about all of these.
All right, Mr. Southgate, first of all, let me just advise you that the committee's mandate does not include construction. That you have to take up with the building department. Our mandate,
which we have entirely unsatisfactorily. You represent the city to us, so that's why we're looking to you for some kind of assistance.
Yeah, but we're not the be-all and the end-all. There's other departments of the city. We only deal with these variances. So let me, there are some things that you can complain to other departments of the city. Some things you may have to take up with Ms. Chan. So let me turn this back to Mr. Shakiri.
We've had no...
Thank you for the comments. I'm going to address the 2 comments related to the application. It was mentioned that this house is 5 meters longer. It is not. It's the same length as I mentioned. We are not adding to the existing length of the building. We're just topping up the rear portion of the house with a second story that is not nearly as high as the allowance of the bylaw. As you can see on the site plan, this is not even projecting behind the rear walls of the 2 neighbors on either side. And we believe that is minor and well in keeping with the existing context. The balcony, there is nothing that one is not able to see from the building that they can see from that balcony. That's a very moderate balcony, providing like minimal means of getting pressure for a person. It's not even the size that can be used to set up furniture. I don't think if we can assume it's the habit of someone to go there and to watch other neighbors' property without being on display for the whole neighborhood. Once
This is Rebecca Southgate. May I intervene with something?
No, I'm sorry. One person speaks at a time. Thank you.
The balcony is done under provision of the zoning bylaw. We are not asking for any variances for that particular balcony. And the area of that balcony can be up to 4 square meters. This is less than 4 square meters. I think it's even less than 3 square meters. So it's done very carefully, and it's not related to any of the variances. Again, the other issues, I must add that the neighbors have already reported that to the inspector, and the bylaw enforcement has been involved. There are like any precautions or any sort of advice that had to come from the city has been in place, and there is an existing building permit, by the way, that they have been doing the underpinning and some other renovations. So that is of course on the way under a permit, which I have been informed by my client. I asked for photos. I have photos showing that the permit is displayed. Again, not something that is related to this application. No part of the right-of-way is excavated. The right-of-way is completely clear now. So it shows in the photo that was submitted by the neighbor. And there is also a parking spot on the front yard of the neighbor at 137 that they're using that parking spot very, very conveniently. I have nothing else to add, and if there is any question, I'd be more than happy to answer. Thank you.
So just for clarification, for the sake of the South Gates, the existing dwelling length and depth are as set out in the variance, and you need a variance because you're making some changes, but the fact is that they are already 22.72 meters in length and 21.46 meters in depth, so there's no change there. Okay.
That's absolutely correct.
All right, so would you please address the issue of the garage, because Mr. Southgate seems to think that even though it's brick, it should be taken down.
Well, that I believe it's his own personal opinion. That garage is repairable, and even if it was unrepairable, they can build a new garage as of right without seeking any permit. So I don't see how that is going to be an issue. And that's we need to provide one parking space. It's provided even more because they can, at the back of the property, they can actually put 2 tandem cars. So just wrapping up with the fact that the garage is repairable, the builder has undertaken to repair it, and that is not part of the variances.
All right, thank you. Any further questions, panel? Okay. Go into committee. Do we have comments or a motion? Yes, Larry.
Thanks, Chair. We appreciate the comments from the adjoining neighbor, but what we have before us are, quite frankly, really quite minor variances. The length, as you pointed out, the length and the depth are existing. They require variance because they're going up a second story. I think a lot of the concerns of the neighbor are related to construction, and as you pointed out, that's not our jurisdiction. What we have before us is, in my view, relatively minor. These are large homes on large lots and in a neighborhood that can certainly accommodate more intensification. So I think it's a supportable application. I'd like to move approval, but I would like to screen the east and west side of the second-story balcony. Even though it is off a master bedroom, the neighbor did make the point about concern for overlook.
It's the second floor deck.
Yes.
Okay, you second that, Aaron? Yep. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you, sir. Next item, number 7, 316 Bloor Street West. The purpose of this application to alter the development standards is approved under site-specific zoning bylaws 569/2013 and 595/2021 for a new mixed-use building. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, email correspondence from planning, and staff reports from planning and
Deferral request.
Toronto Transit.
Seeking a deferral, Chair?
There's a deferral request.
Yes, I know. Mr. Dror? I still have to.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. I understand. Could we have your name and your address, please?
For sure. My name is Mike Dror, and I'm a land use planner and senior associate at Bassfields. Firm address is 3 Church Street, Suite 200.
All right. I understand you're asking for a deferral.
We are asking for a deferral. We've had some good discussions of community planning and urban design staff since submitting the application. And as you'll see, both ourselves and community planning have suggested that a deferral request, or have made a deferral request to allow for both discussions to continue to occur and potentially to allow for changes to be made to the application. So we are here in support of community planning's request and of ours as well.
Okay. Do we have a motion for deferral? Yim?
Yeah, I move for deferral so that they can continue working with planning department. Yeah.
All right. Do we have a seconder? Aaron, all in favor? Have your approval. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Have your approval for a deferral, I mean. All right, number 8, 33-37 Parliament Street. The purpose of the application to alter the development standards is approved under site-specific zoning bylaw 389/2023 OLT for a 33-story mixed-use building with a 9-story podium and 3 levels of underground parking. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, email correspondence from Transportation Engineering, a report from Community Planning, support from the Gooderham and Warts Neighborhood Association. Tyler Peak.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Tyler Peck.
Morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. We have your name and your address, sir.
Tyler Peck from W&D Associates, 90 Eglinton Avenue East, Suite 970.
Okay. So, perhaps you could just give us a brief rundown of what this is about?
I'll provide a summary for the committee. The application is for the minor alteration of the approved site-specific development standards to facilitate one proposed additional story at the building at 33 to 37 Parliament from 32 to 33 stories. The committee will note that through the submitted materials, my client has consulted and worked closely with City Planning and the Gooderham and Warts Neighborhood Association. The Neighborhood Association has filed a letter confirming they have no objection to the application. City Planning has also issued a staff report with recommendations for Section 45.9 contribution, which my client agrees to. And the staff report also concludes that the application meets the 4 tests. We agree with that, which is outlined in detail in our planning rationale as well, and also in the presentation materials that have been provided. The approved development stats are proposed to be altered only where required for the additional story at the top of the building, and those are through the requested variances that are listed and through the revised diagram 7. If you want to flip to the figures in my presentation.
Oh, I don't think we need the figures. Anybody need the?
Page 3 would be great.
Okay. Thank you. Any?
Page 4. I can continue, or I can.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, if you have more to say, tell us.
Yeah, just wanted to point out that individually and cumulatively, these variances are minor in nature, and they optimize the use of the site based on up-to-date policy directions, while maintaining the intent and purpose of the official plan and the site-specific zoning for the site. The timeline of policy updates on Figure 5 shows the key changes since the July 2018 Council adoption of the settlement and the May 2020 original approval from the OLT, which includes direction to optimize new housing opportunities in proximity to proposed rapid transit infrastructure. There have been further commitments to the Ontario line, specifically the Corktown station, the identification of the Corktown station protected major transit station area. Figures 6 through 9 in the presentation show the appropriateness of the height of the 33-story building in the context of approved developments in the triangle lands in the distillery, with approvals at 41 and 49 stories adjacent to the development. The proposal provides for additional residential units on the upper floors on an approved development site and reflects a revised design, contemporary updates to planning policy, positive contributions to the local community, and has been thoughtfully considered, will result in a built form and development that's largely indistinguishable from the approved development, which is under construction on the site, and also maintains a number of the compliance with a number of the performance standards in the site-specific zoning, including but not limited to all building setbacks, tower floor plate size, total residential and retail GFA, percentage of 2- and 3-bedroom units, bicycle parking, loading, and other matters. With that, I'd note that the requested relief is minor in nature, maintains the intent and purpose of the OP and zoning, is desirable and appropriate for this site to optimize the use of the lands, and I respectfully request the committee's approval of the application subject to the city planning conditions, and I'm here to answer any questions.
All right, Mr. Peak, I was curious about variance number 6, where you reduce parking from 111 spaces to 108. We have a lot of applications that are coming in and eliminating parking completely. We have others that come and say we're not so bold, and they reduce it by 40 or 50%. How did you come to this small reduction?
This is a result of the parking garage availability that has already been approved. As a result of the design, including the 557 units, those are the available parking spaces within the underground parking garage, which is under construction, 3 levels, and therefore that construction is proposed to continue with the only alterations at the upper levels of the building. So the ratio is a very minor reduction from that which was approved originally at 0.2 for residential parking, down to 0.19.
Presumably, your client thinks they can sell these parking spots?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, Larry?
Thanks, Chair. I have no problem with this application, but I was curious, you're adding 12 additional units?
That's correct. It's 12 additional units to the bylaw. The NOAC approved development actually has 540 units. So from the NOAC approval, it's 17 additional units.
Okay.
But in the variance is for 557 units, whereas the site specific is 545.
Great. I'm more just curious. What's the nature of those units? I thought I heard you say 2- and 3-bedrooms.
Yeah. So there's actually we thought that question might come up. So there's 4 additional studio units, 8 additional 1-beds, 2 additional 2-beds, and 3 additional 3-beds. And this maintains the ratio that's required by the site-specific zoning.
That's what
25 25% 2 beds, and 10% 3 beds.
I was always wondering. And is those aren't on the penthouse level? Those are reconfigured.
The typical floor plate is being reconfigured, and then there are additional 3-bedroom units on the upper level as a result of the changes to the mechanical layouts.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's my question to it, the proportion of different types. So I have no problem with this application, and I consider that the variances are minor in nature because we have seen much more they will ask for, adding 5-story last time, one building. So I will move for approval. That's with the planning, there were 3 conditions they imposed, and also, I think that's the only conditions that I move for approval, yeah.
We have a seconder. Aaron, all in favor? You have your approval. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
9262 Hillsdale Avenue East. The purpose of the application is to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling with a front integral garage, a front covered porch with stairs, a rear ground floor deck with stairs, as well as a rear basement walkout. The existing detached garage in the rear yard will be demolished. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant and a report from Urban Forestry. Jonathan Benskowski.
Good morning, committee.
Good morning. We need your name and your address, sir.
Yes, Jonathan Benskowski, 301 Keewatin Avenue.
Okay. All right, so is there anything you want to say to the panel before we take it into committee?
Just very briefly, the driveway width and as well as the landscaping is all tied to the mutual right-of-way that would require to be maintained at hardscape. In terms of the building depth, this is a deeper lot at about 130 feet deep. So in terms of the amenity space, there's ample amenity space still left in the rear yard. And there is a grade change from the front to the rear that mitigates the level of the deck as it relates to the adjacent neighbors caused by the integral garage, which would be variance number 1. That difference in grade is essentially 0.46 meters. So we don't see the deck towering over. We have added privacy screens on both sides, and we'd be happy if the committee felt the need to tie them to the site plan that has been submitted.
All right, thank you. Any questions, Larry?
Thanks, Chair. Jonathan, is this, I note from variance number 1 that there's no parking permitted through the front wall. Is this part of the Davisville area-specific bylaw?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, Mr. Clay, exactly that.
We often, when we get applications, the local ratepayers association expresses their views rather forcefully about this. Have you or your client spoken with them?
We have not, Mr. Clay, but what I can say is they are very adamant about this. I have noticed a trend lately that is changing a little bit. I'm not sure why, but that kind of goes back to what I spoke to with the elevated deck at the rear. Part of the biggest concerns with that area-specific Davisville bylaw came up with these solid main walls extending into the rear yards of the adjacent neighbors, as well as those decks being elevated. I don't want to speak for Mr. Kibbe and the Davisville Village people, but possibly the 0.46 meter difference in grade mitigated some of that. And they possibly didn't see this as an issue with this application.
Well, I do note along this street that there are already several integrated garage structures.
You are correct, Mr. Clay.
The second question, so you're seeking a variance for front yard landscaping, but you're also seeking a variance for driveway width. I wonder if the driveway wasn't as wide as you're proposing, that you might actually improve your front yard landscaping number.
Mr. Clay, can we go to the actual site plan? We've actually tried to reduce it where if you zoom in at the front, what we see there is the dotted space of the driveway on the inside. We've actually tried to make it as narrow as possible there. The problem becomes that kind of 1.2 meter mutual drive that's there. If we made it any narrower, we wouldn't really be able to access that spot fully there. That would be my only concern.
Well, again, I'm not trying to belabor the point, but I'm struggling with the variance requesting. I mean, you couldn't access your driveway or your garage with a 3.27 meter wide drive?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Clay, that variance for 4.24 meters includes the 1.20 meter easement dimension.
Okay.
So in effect, we're really at the 3.2 meters, which is the requirement.
Okay. I understand. That's helpful. Is your driveway permeable pavers?
We would be happy to make them permeable, Mr. Clay.
Great. Thank you.
I have a question.
Let me just ask him one question. It's a mutual drive, Mr. Benskovsky. Can you do the whole driveway in permeable paving, or are you just going to do your half?
We can do the whole, it just has to be maintained as hardscaping. We can do the whole thing in permeable, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, my question is, what do you have any comments from the community planning? Because here is, I've had difficulty sort of reading it, like if we approve the front yard parking, it actually has changed the whole streetscape. And I know that there are a lot of property on these streets that actually have integral garage, but you're asking for integral garage, a front yard parking, and also a driveway. So for the whole street, it's almost everything is paved, and then there's a reduction of soft landscaping. I just have you talked? What is the planning, the community planning's comments on this?
A couple of points there through you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Chan, we are not requesting any parking in the front yard. This is the Davisville Village exception that doesn't permit you to park through the front main wall. So the request is essentially for us to offer an integral garage. Going back to the idea of soft landscaping and really kind of the Davisville Village area, basically almost all dwellings have this mutual drive. It's almost impossible with the mutual drive to comply with landscaping because you have to maintain that portion as being hardscaped. There's really not an opportunity to change that portion without the agreement of a neighbor. I'm not sure the committee remembers, but a couple of months ago, I was before the committee for a similar situation where we did have an agreement with the neighbor, and then it just turned into an absolute mess, a legal mess after the fact. The right-of-way agreement would stipulate that this has to remain unencumbered as well as a hardscape. Realistically, no vehicle is able to fit through there with the size of vehicles today, but nonetheless, the only way that can be changed would be to extinguish that right-of-way, which would have to be done mutually with both neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any further questions?
No.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'm happy to take this one. I'm satisfied with Mr. Benskowski's explanation for this one, and I appreciate that the Davisville area bylaw does speak to this, but I'm struck by as the agent mentioned, the number of homes that have either mutual drives, front yard parking pads, or integral drive in this area. So I don't think allowing an integral garage would unduly impact the neighborhood. Often we see integral garages as being having the consequence of having higher height. And in this case, I don't think that's an issue. So I think given the circumstances, it's a supportable application. I'm going to move approval subject to forestry condition number 3. And also, I believe the agent agreed to installing permeable pavers in the front parking area, or driveway, pardon me, driveway.
Yeah.
I wouldn't qualify it as front, I'd just say the driveway, because I think it goes to the back.
Yeah, however, I thought I heard him say that it's difficult to have a mutual driveway agreement. That's all the legal trouble that he got in last time.
Yeah, I know, but this isn't the same thing.
Okay.
This is just changing the surface. Okay.
Fine with that.
Do we have a seconder? Yim? All in favor? Have your approval. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Number 10, 5675 Crawford Street. Purpose of the application to alter the existing two-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a new rear first-story deck, a rear two-story addition, a third-story addition, and a third-story front and rear balconies. Mr. Shakiri, oh, pardon me. Material submitted include material submitted by the applicant and opposition from 452 Montrose Avenue. Mr. Shakiri.
Ali Shakiri, 6 Shepherd Avenue East, for the record. Good morning again.
All right, good morning, sir. Do you have anything you want to say to the panel before we go into committee?
I have no comment. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, panel, any questions?
There's opposition from Monroe's 452. Do you have anything to speak to that?
No, there's no speaker from Montrose, but there is a letter.
There's a letter, yeah. I just thought that maybe he had read it and we had some comments on that.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed, I read the objection. Most of the comments not related to the application. However, they have mentioned about the size of the home, and there is a previous approval on this case on December 8, 2021, that was supposed to be a new house. Now we're renovating. The floor space index is almost the same, but all other variances are removed, I'm happy to say.
Mm-hmm.
There is no building height variance, as was approved on 2021. We don't need it anymore, and we haven't asked for it. No wall height variance, no roof slope variance, no landscaping of any sort on the front and rear, which was granted before. We don't have that either. And we are keeping the garage, no expansion of the garage, which was a variance before. I'm glad to say that this is a lot minor than what was previously approved. I have also submitted evidence of the previously approved variances in the close proximity, larger houses with very many variances. We just asked for what we needed for this particular case. We believe it's minor, and if there is any other question, I'd be more than glad to answer. Thank you.
Chair?
Yes, Larry.
Thanks, Chair. This is a semi. Have you had discussions with the adjoining semi?
Both are owned by the same person, and it is the other one. We actually we were granted an approval last week. For some reason that we don't understand, these two cases are scheduled separately. It is usually a lot easier for everybody if they are heard together, but we are in no control of that. So yes, the other one is owned by the same person, and we were here last week, and the other one was also approved.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were here?
Yes, I was here. We had the same question why they was split up, and it make it a lot easier for us to approve at the same time. And we already approved the other one, and then we wonder why this one came the next week. So I have no problem with this application, and I'm in support of it anyway. So I think the opposition or what they mentioned are not really related to the variances. And I will move for approval with no conditions. Yeah.
The balcony, are you,
There was
there's a
no.
third floor balcony here.
I don't remember there was an issue on the first floor balcony. Did we put a privacy screen on the first floor balcony?
So I'm just looking at it. It looks like it's a rather large balcony off the back, or is that the front? Oh, beg your pardon. Hang on here a second. Sorry, Chair. The agent, maybe we can. Is there a rooftop balcony? Is it on the front or the rear?
Mr. Shakiri?
Sorry, there is, it's not a rooftop, it's a rear balcony. It's a very small one, not too deep. And we don't mind if you impose a condition to have privacy screen on either side of it, but it's not large. It is less than 4 square meter, which is as per provisions of the zoning bylaw. Once again, we don't object if you wish to impose a condition for the privacy screen. It would be perhaps even beneficial for the owner. They might actually go ahead and do that anyways, just that is not prescribed by the zoning bylaw. But we don't object if you wish to impose that condition. So it was done for the other one, by the way.
The question is, do you remember the last week's decision whether we also asked for privacy screen on the other semi? If we did not,
yes, as I mentioned, the same issue was brought up, and again we didn't object of adding the privacy screen as a condition. So the panel did approve with. Okay. Condition of adding the privacy screen.
Okay, so it's on
the sides.
Yeah, all right. So it's on north and the south edges, right?
Yes.
Okay, so with that as a condition, I would like to move for approval for the first floor. Oh.
Do we have a seconder? Aaron, all in favor? Have your approval? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Number 11, 155, 166, Dovercourt Road. Purpose of the application to alter the existing 2-story mixed-use detached dwelling by constructing a rear 3-story addition and a complete 3rd-story addition with front and rear rooftop patios above the 3rd story. The building will contain 1 retail unit and 4 dwelling units, also to construct a new 1-story ancillary building, a carport with bicycle storage in the rear yard abutting the laneway. The existing detached garage will be demolished. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. We have correspondence from transportation, engineering. We have a report from planning. We have 3 form letters in support signed by owners of 509-183 Dovercourt Road, 137 and 155 Dovercourt Road. We have opposition from someone with no address attached. Mr. Hill.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Would you like me to go ahead with the presentation?
Yeah. I just need to correct something. I see it's 155 Dovercourt Road, not 166. Sorry. So we have your name and address, sir?
My name is Andrew Hill. I'm with Studio AC. Our studio address is 360 Dufferin Street.
Okay. So do you have anything you want to say to the panel before we take it into committee?
Well, we submitted the presentation. I'd be happy to sort of go through that.
Well, I think we've all read it, so I don't think we need to hear it again. There's no opposition, so if there's any particular point you want to make short of the presentation, that'll be fine. Otherwise, we'll go into committee and deal with it.
I think there's one opposition in the supplemental material.
Yeah, but not speaking today.
No.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hill. Any questions, panel? Okay, Larry, do you have a motion?
Yeah, this is, I think this is an excellent.
Just a minute.
Oh, pardon
I think
me.
Aaron has a question.
Hey, sorry, yes, I'm here. Yeah, so I'm just reading the staff report, and it recommends that if we are going to, I have no issue to approve it, I just want to make clear that staff recommends us to try increasing the soft landscape. So I think it's a question to the applicant.
Absolutely. And we submitted a revised roof plan that was a result of a, kind of positive discussion we had with planning in that regard. And we've agreed with planning and happy to have any approvals tied to it to have green roof both on the main building and on top of the carport, which would increase the soft landscaping on the site to 48%. And I think it was the updated roof plan maybe was in the presentation to sort of cover that up.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, so any other questions? Aaron, did you want to make a motion?
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I would like to approve the application tied to the plans and the revised roof plan as discussed. I don't think there's any other conditions.
Yes.
And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, Larry, all in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you. Number 12.
Very much.
Number 12. For 56 Gerrard Street East. Purpose of the application is to alter the existing two-story mixed-use building by converting the ground floor use from one retail store into one personal service shop, a salon, and retail store. The existing dwelling unit on the second level will be maintained and unaltered. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant and a report from Heritage Planning. Daisy Lamb?
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
We've been unable to connect with Daisy Lamb. I'm going to continue to call her, but I think it's a better idea if we skip to the following.
Through you, Mr. Chair, this is one that's requesting deferral as well.
Yeah, I assume that she requested deferral and assumed she didn't have to be here. But I don't know that.
Well, through you, Mr. Chair, the request for deferral is because of improper notification, because the sign wasn't posted, so we could probably review this without her presence.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay, Yim?
Yeah, I move for deferral because improper notice. Yeah.
All right, do we have a seconder? Aaron, all in favor? Have your approval for a deferral? Thank you. Number 13, 408 Roxton Road. Purpose of this application to alter the existing 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a front one-story addition, a porch enclosure. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant and one form letter in support. Kieran Randell.
Hi, yes, I'm here. My name's Kieran Randall, 2088 Dundas Street West.
Okay. Yes, do you have anything you want to say to the panel before we take it into committee?
I have a presentation if you guys are willing to hear it.
I don't think we need a presentation, but if there's a point or two you want to make?
Just wanted to make it clear that we're not rebuilding or adding any built form at all. We're just putting windows on an existing front porch, which affect the GFA, hence the FSI and the side and front yard setback. But we're not rebuilding or enlarging anything. We're just adding windows. That's in a nutshell what's happening with this proposal.
So the house is already 1.34 times the area, is that right?
No, but it's because the house is 1.28 times the area. However, when you enclose the front porch by adding windows, that front area, which was before a roofed exterior space, now becomes interior space by zoning bylaw definition. Therefore, adding 9.10 meters to the GFA, which in turn affects the FSI, but we're not building anything. We're just adding windows to an existing exterior front porch.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions? Do you have a motion? Yes, Yim.
I think this is very minor, and all the variants are also minor. I would like to move for approval with no conditions.
All right, do we have a seconder? Aaron, all in favor? Have your approval, sir.
Thank you very much.
Number 14, 89 Cottingham Street. The purpose of this application to alter the existing two-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear two-story addition with a rear ground floor deck and a complete third-story addition. Also to reconstruct the front porch. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant and a report from Urban Forestry. Ryan O'Brien.
Good morning.
Good morning. We have your name and address, sir.
Brian O'Brien. I'm the architect for 89 Cottingham. My address is 530 Queen Street East.
All right, and you're asking for a deferral?
That's correct, sir.
Tell us why.
We're in continuing conversations with both the neighbors at 91 and 87 with regard to the proposal, and want to be as conciliatory and accommodating with them as we can be here.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion for a deferral? Larry?
Yeah, sure. I'll move deferral, Chair, for the reasons the agent has indicated.
All right, do we have a seconder? Yim, all in favor? Have your deferral, sir. Thank you. Number 15. 240 Glenholme Avenue. The purpose of this application to construct a two-story ancillary building containing one parking space on the first level and one garden suite on the second level in the rear yard of the property. The building will have a platform and stairs to access the second level. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. Edward Broders.
Through you, Mr. Chair, been unable to reach Edward. I'm still trying to contact him.
Okay, this is also a deferral request. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, do we know why they're requesting a deferral?
I think it's the notice posting.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, it's the notice again.
Yeah.
The display of the sign for 10 days prior to the hearing.
Okay, So the notice was not posted properly.
That's correct.
Okay. Do we have a motion for deferral? Yim?
Yeah, for that reason, I propose to defer this case.
All right, do we have a seconder? Larry? All in favor? Okay, matter is deferred. Number 1647 Doris Drive. The purpose of this application is to construct a new two-story detached dwelling with a front integral garage, a front porch with stairs, a rear ground level deck, and a rear second level deck with stairs. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. We have correspondence from Ravina Natural Features, staff reports from Urban Forestry, Ravina Natural Features, and from planning. Nil Ufar Baradaran.
Hi, this is Nilufar Baradaran. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can we have your address, please?
Address is 7167 Young Street, Unit 609, Thornhill.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything you want to say to the panel before we take it into committee?
Do you want my presentation or not?
Well, there are a lot of variances. Pardon?
There are also some amendments, revisions for.
Okay, perhaps you can tell us what the revisions are.
Okay, the revision is only for the variances related to the front landscaping, is number 10 and 11. And also related to the forestry.
So just tell us what variance number 10 is amended to.
Yeah, the number 10 is related to the landscaping was before was 33% or 18.20 square meter, improved to 44% or 24.5 square meter.
Okay, and then 11 is amended as well?
Yes, variance number 11 was 62% or 17.25 square meter, improved to 64% or 17.6 square meter.
Okay. Are there any other changes?
Actually, we have, if the staff could bring it up, there is a revision for the site plan, revised site plan 2, in order to, the front, please, front yard. Could you please just a little bit move the drawing to the left to see the front yard better? Yeah. There was a city-owned tree on the middle of the front yard. We had communication with the planner and forestry staff, and finally we reached this revised site plan to keep the tree and keep enough protection area, and by revising our driveway.
Does that affect any variance?
No, it doesn't affect any variances. We kept the same changes in the landscaping percentage. We kept at the same number. Just as we just changed the driveway shape.
Okay. Any other points you want to make?
No, I think they were happy with this change, and it is supportive with planner and forestry staff.
All right, thank you. Panel, do you have any questions? Jim?
Yes, what about the rear deck, because it's elevated off the kitchen? Do you agree to have privacy screen on the south side of that quite a large deck.
Where, please?
Yes. Yeah.
On the south side.
On the
First
south
floor?
side only, yeah, on the south side. I think the north side is fine with recess, yeah.
Okay, you mean in the first floor, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, on the south side. Yeah, sure, we can provide it.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? All right, do we have a motion?
Oh, I
Yes,
can
Yam.
take this one. With the amended variances 11 and 12, and also the,
No, 10 and 11.
10 and 11 revised variances, and also with the planning condition that they will have to be tied to the revised site plan, received August 24th. And the privacy screen installed on the first floor, rear first floor south edge of the deck. And with all this, I will move for approval.
I have a note for a forestry condition number 5.
No, that is the one that with refusal, but then it seems that they have resolved the problem. Number
They
5.
have, but I think we might be wise to include forestry number 1.
Yes, or
Fallback,
maybe,
right?
yeah,
So
number 1.
Just
Yeah.
to potentially injure the tree.
Yes, yeah, that is a good idea, or to the discretion of urban forestry. Yeah.
So they've satisfied forestry's refusal by retaining the tree.
Yeah, revising the site.
Forestry said, maybe include number 1 so that in the event that they might damage the tree through construction.
It was a forestry imposed condition. You
Yes.
didn't make it up. Okay. All right, do we have a seconder? Aaron, all in favor? You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 17, 67 Raglan Avenue.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we can probably deal with both items 17 and 18
Yes,
at the same time. Thank you.
yes. It's 65 and 67 Raglan Avenue. With respect to 67 Raglan Avenue, the purpose of the application is to permit a ground level retail space and a reduction of indoor and outdoor amenity space within a 28-story residential apartment building currently under a site plan control review file number 2023 3772 STE 12SA. There will be a total of 320 residential dwelling units within this building. Okay, so, yeah, that's a purpose. That's for both 65 and 67. Okay, with this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. And okay, these things, these sheets are, okay. Okay, here we have Jamie Cole.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. So my name is Jamie Cole. I'm a lawyer at McCarthy Tetro LLP, and my address is 66 Wellington Avenue West.
Okay, so perhaps you could just give us a brief, very brief rundown as to what you're asking for here.
Certainly. So I'm here on behalf of the owners of 65 through to 83 Raglan Avenue. And just as a quick background, there are actually two owners of the properties that make up the parcel of 65 to 83 Raglan Avenue, and therefore there are two committee files before you today. That being said, the applications are completely identical and ask for identical relief. These lands are in the process of being developed with a multi-story residential building as approved by the Ontario Land Tribunal last year. The site-specific zoning bylaws are now in place, and the site plan approval process is ongoing. And it was through that collaborative process with the city and the local councillor where it was agreed upon that our client would pursue this application in order to permit a small retail space on the first story of the building. This minor adjustment to the interior configuration of the first story to facilitate the retail store requires several variances that form the basis of this application, but no external revisions to the building are required. In total, 5 variances are requested. 2 of the variances, and that would be number 1 and 2 in the notice, relate to the site-specific bylaw that amended 569/2013. These reflect the recalculation of the GFA and an extremely minor reduction in the amount of amenity space provided in light of the introduction of the retail space. Variances 3 and 4 seek relief to the site-specific bylaw that amended former City of York bylaw 183 to again allow for an extremely minor reduction in the amount of amenity space provided and to allow for the retail use itself. Interestingly, the retail space use is permitted under the general provisions of 569, but is not under the older and frankly antiquated bylaw 183. Lastly, variance number 5 in the notice seeks relief from the general provisions of 569 for the floor area required for the retail use. So we believe that the variances individually and cumulatively meet the 4 tests under Section 45 of the Planning Act. And firstly, the property is designated apartment neighborhoods in the official plan, and policy 4.2.1 of the OP states that apartment neighborhoods are made up of apartment buildings, but also small-scale retail, service, and office uses that serve the needs of area residents. What is being proposed is the exact type of small-scale neighborhood retail use envisioned by the official plan, and therefore it's my submission that the requested variances clearly meet the general intent of the OP. Secondly, the variances meet the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, as the variances will simply permit minor modifications to the zoning requirements regarding total gross floor area, retail interior floor area, and amenity space to facilitate the introduction of a retail space that is supported by city planning and the local councillor. And as noted earlier, the need for the retail store variance as an additional use is triggered solely as it is not permitted in 183, whereas it is permitted in 569. And by looking at the OP and 569 permissions together, it's clear that the city is encouraging this type of use in this type of location. And it's only because we are also looking at, a 40-year-old bylaw that this variance is even triggered. And thirdly, the variances are appropriate. No external alterations are proposed, and the requested variances will maintain the character of the property. There will be no impacts on other neighbors and uses in the surrounding area. And lastly, the variances requested are minor in size, importance, and impact. The cumulative effect of the requested variances is also minor, as the application has no impact whatsoever on the surrounding area. Again, the relief requested will only affect the interior configuration of the first floor of the building, and no exterior modifications are necessary. And just to one more time repeat, this application was submitted in collaboration with city planning staff and the local councillor. And therefore, we respectfully request that the variances before the committee today be granted. And subject to any questions, those are my submissions. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Cole, I have a little difficulty understanding how you're going to have a retail space without any exterior modifications, but you did say something about it's all interior. So is this retail use only for the residents of the building, or is it for the public?
So it's for the public, but the building footprint is remaining the exact same. And what's essentially happening is the amenity space on the first floor is being altered to move it to another location on the first floor, while also reducing it in a very minor way to accommodate the retail use in the existing building footprint.
Okay. So will this retail store have a storefront that's different than what's proposed?
So it will have a storefront, but my understanding is that it is being, the amenity space also had a door, and so this is just being incorporated into what was already proposed.
Okay, thank you. Yim?
Yes, the retail is, what kind of retail you're proposing? Do you know?
I don't know for certain at this point, but and I don't want to bind my client to this, but I imagine it would be some sort of small scale convenience store.
Oh, yes, because actually I don't know whether I can agree with you the area that the retail is compatible, because you have to almost go all the way up to St. Clair, then there was some retail property. This whole street is just a permanent residential use, and if this retail space will be the first on this street. Am I right? Yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that concern. I would note, however, that the official plan and 569 both permit this use as of right. And so there's a clear policy direction from the city to facilitate these types of small-scale uses in apartment neighborhoods, so that residents of this building, but also residents of the neighboring community, which largely are apartments, can quickly and easily access a retail convenience store use.
Okay, so do you know the area of these retail units? And the second question is, if we're going to approve it, would you agree to tie to the maximum area of this space as is proposed on your plan? Yeah.
Certainly. So the retail area will be 131.79 meters square, and that is actually one of the variances being requested if you look to variance number 5.
So it's got an area in there already?
It's in the variance.
Oh,
Yeah.
the
Number
variance. Okay,
5.
I did not write that down. Okay, yeah.
All right. Okay, any further questions, panel? Okay, we have a motion, Larry?
Thanks, Chair. I think this is a modest, almost technical amendment that has both city staff and the councilor support. I think these kinds of apartment and condo complexes can benefit from retail, ground floor retail. Otherwise, they're a bit of a wasteland. So it's kind of I think, an attractive proposition to support not only the residents of the building, but the adjacent apartment dwellers too, in terms of getting access probably to groceries or other types of amenities. So I think it's a supportable application. I'd like to move approval of application number 17 and 18, 67 and 65 Raglan, with no conditions. I don't think, frankly, we need to tie it to plans. I think it's fine.
No, I just thought it's in the variance already.
Yeah.
That size. No.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm okay.
we have a seconder. Yim, all in favor? You have your approval. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That completes the morning agenda at 11:24 a.m.
Are we coming back at 2?
I'm hoping